Welcome back, my friends. We are going to do another jerkbait topic. You ready for this, CJ?
I'm ready.
All right. So, fortunately for us, we live in a place where jerkbaits are good year-round, right? But for a lot of guys, it is a pre-spawn through post-spawn deal, maybe even a late winter deal, right? And inevitably, when you think of a jerkbait, you think of this guy, the Megabass Vision 110. Now, we recently did a breakdown on the OSP jerkbait line just to talk about another line, just to give you some ideas.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to do the same thing on another kind of sleeper jerkbait line. This is one of those lines that's been out forever. Some guys have really started to figure it out, but it still is way under the radar, and that is the Duo Realis jerkbait line. Today, we're going to talk about the full line. We're going to break it down and shed some light on maybe when you use this one instead of this one.
Secrets.
All right, if you'd like to join the conversation, let's do it. Welcome to the Hookup Tackle. The Hookup Tackle is the world's largest showcase of Megabass products, featuring baits and colors not found at any other dealer. The Hookup also offers a wide display of OSP, Evergreen, Depths, Lucky Craft, Jackal, and many more. The Hookup Tackle is owned and operated by family, is staffed by guides and verified tackle nerds who love helping anglers elevate their craft. If you're in the Phoenix area, we'd love to have you stop by our showroom and check out the wonderful world of Megabass and the Hookup for yourself. If you shop online, there are almost 10,000 SKUs of Megabass products alone, with hundreds of other companies and new products being added daily. So next time you're looking for that hard-to-find bait, that color your fish have never seen before, or maybe you just want to elevate your game, look at thehookuptackle.com. Welcome back, my friends. I am Ben with the Hookup Tackle, the Tackle Otaku on Instagram, being joined by my buddy CJ at Desert Bassin. Good morning, CJ.
Good morning. What's up?
How are you?
I'm doing great.
You ready to talk about some jerkbaits?
I'm ready, dude. I've been thinking about jerkbaits for 4 months now.
That's all we talk about.
That's
all we think about,
on
and that's
every
okay.
rod.
Because jerkbaits are the funnest way to catch fish.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's topwater.
If you see me walking around sideways,
there's frogs.
yeah, I've been throwing a jerkbait for the past like 6 months.
You got one big strong arm from all the jerking. All right, let's start right here. Okay, this is a Megabass Vision 110. Inevitably, when you guys think, or at least when I think jerkbait, this is usually always my starting point. And there's a lot of days where literally this is the only jerkbait that you need to have. And there's a lot of days where this is the only jerkbait they eat.
Yeah.
It just is what it is,
Yep.
right? That said, there are also a lot of days where when that jerkbait bite really gets going, like we were talking about a local lake that we've been fishing lately. You've been on a super hot jerkbait bite.
Yep.
And a few weeks ago, you'd go out on a Tuesday or Wednesday and there would be, you'd basically have the lake to yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
And now every cove you go in has like 15, 16 boats.
Yeah.
There's literally boats everywhere. Like word got out and everybody's throwing a jerkbait.
They're all throwing the same thing.
Right? And I know what jerkbaits they're throwing because I'm selling them all week and then they're throwing them all weekend, right? So there are times, and I know you guys live in places where the fish just see a lot of the same thing, and maybe you just need to mix it up a little bit. It could be because of pressure. It could be because you found fish in a certain lane, maybe 100-yard or 10-yard area, where every time you go through, you get a bite, you get 3 bites, you get 2 bites, you get a bite, you get 3 bites, you get 2 bites, and then they shut down. And sometimes maybe just mixing it up and adding something with a different tune, a different pitch, can get you a few extra bites, right?
Absolutely.
I've also had some really big, in-depth conversations with a lot of these lure brands on why they make this bait move this way or flash this way or do different things. And every bait is designed for different applications. Some guys find that baits that move side to side get more bites. Some guys find that baits that flash top to bottom get bigger bites, right? So there's a lot that goes into it, right?
Yeah.
All of these are just tools in the tool chest.
Yeah.
So if you guys are jerkbait freaks like we are and you just love throwing a jerkbait, and it's so rewarding because you have to give the bait its action.
Yeah.
Right? It's up to you to get that fish to strike. So when you get bit, there's just so much reward.
Yeah. You
right?
kind of earned it.
You've definitely earned it, right? At least my left arm is telling me I earned it because it's burning, right? So let's start right here. We are going to talk about today a super solid alternative to some 110. Now, alternative is probably not the right word. Nothing's replacing this thing.
It's hard to beat a 110. When you think about a jerkbait, it's a 110.
It just is what it is.
Yep.
If you guys are looking for a starting point, and ending point, really, in jerkbait fishing, you need a box of these. Like, it's the best one.
No, let's just stop this video here.
Yeah, game over. But no, in all seriousness, if you're looking for some alternatives for baits that move different, Duo makes some amazing baits, and that's what we're going to talk about today. This is the Duo Realis Jerkbait line. So I'm going to start right here. This is the Realis Jerkbait 120. Now I'm going to start here because this is the first Realis jerkbait that I started fishing. This is really what kind of opened my eyes. Now, a lot of guys got their introduction in Duo with their spin baits, right? Like spy baiting became very, very popular, 10, 12 years ago. And that was kind of the first intro into Duo. But Duo is one of the larger Japan brands. And they have a beautiful facility. They OEM a ton of other manufacturers' product.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm sworn to secrecy on a lot of them, so I can't tell you, but a lot of your favorite brands from Japan have their baits made at Duo.
Deception.
Okay? Whether you are a normal bass fisherman, a swim baiter, like, there's a lot.
Ooh.
Okay?
Ooh.
So,
I love it.
basically what that's telling you is it's telling you that not only do they make great baits, but other brands trust them to make baits for them as well, right? Which speaks to the quality. So all made in Japan. Let's start right here. So this is the Jerkbait 120. Okay, I'm gonna give you a side-by-side look. So yes, this is 110 millimeters and this is 120 millimeters, but this is usually my starting point in this lineup just because it's been around for ages and it's a great kind of addition to this. I'm very rarely looking for a 110 replacement because I have 900,000 110s. I'm looking for something to do something different than a 110.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And so this is kind of a good one for me because it lets me go a little bit bigger, lets me get a little bit more aggressive. Now, internally, all of these baits are going to have a weight transfer system. Okay, so you're going to see 2 tungsten balls transfer back, so it's going to cast great. You're going to notice this is a higher, thinner bait that's designed to have more flash to it. Okay, so anytime we're talking about flash, we're talking about the bait going from top to bottom and creating a more full silhouette. Okay, where a 110, when you move it, has very little flash, it moves more side to side. Okay, this is going to have more top to bottom movement, which can really be nice to trigger a different reaction on a fish. I really think bigger fish like that flash.
Yeah, I think so.
There's something to it. Now, they don't always want something moving big and wide. They like that kind of top to bottom movement, whether it's a crankbait, a jerkbait. There's something to it that they like. Now, sound-wise, it's going to have a pretty subtle kind of low-pitch sound as it's moving through. I'll let you guys listen to it. Right? So there's internally a couple of chambers. There's a couple small glass beads in here. Of course, you have that one main ball in there. But just a great all-around kind of upsizing option from the 110 if you need something a little bit bigger. 3 sticky hooks, everything you kind of need, a bunch of cool colors, right?
Yeah. Oh, their colors are sick.
Yeah, so there you go. There is the 120. Now, let's go down into the 110. They do make a 110 as well. Okay, so here is the 110. Now, I should point out, I'm going to pick this up. I should point out, now, as we go up and down in size in the Duo, they're not all built the same, just in smaller and bigger sizes. They're built actually different, okay, which is kind of the importance of breaking this all down.
Yeah.
If you guys are ever unsure, if you look at the back of the boxes, they will show you the internal build. And you'll see different chambers. You'll see they put different rattles, different weights. So they're going to have different sounds. They're going to have different movements, right? So this is a really fun line to play with. Maybe you start with the 120 that we just showed you, and you have success. You're like, cool, let me try the 110.
Yeah.
Or the 100 or something different. And it's going to act a little bit different, sound a little bit different, right?
I like
so
that.
The 110 is a little bit higher pitch. You're going to notice it when you hear it. Can you hear it's a little bit noisier, right? So it's not quite like a lipless, but it's got a lot of sound to it when it moves. So you can see all these different beads moving around in the different chambers. Okay, so you got 2 little balls here, you got 3 balls here. Of course, you have the 2 weight transfer balls back there. So as this thing is moving, you're getting a lot more of that side to side and a lot more of that sound going through, right? With the 120, right?
Oh yeah.
Can you hear
Big
the difference?
Yeah.
Most of what you're hearing right now is the hooks. And most of what you're hearing there is those beads, right?
Yeah.
So totally different sound, right? You've got that lower pitch. In fact, if I was to hold the hooks,
Getting good at that.
you just have a couple of beads in there. A lot more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun. It's like a game. So you can see you're going to get some of that flashing, but in the 110, you're going to get a lot more of that side-to-side movement, and you're going to get a lot more of that sound. And there's a side-to-side comparison to the Vision 110. See a little bit wider on this guy, right? So it's still going to give you a little bit of that flash, but you're going to get more volume, more sound, right? So there you go. There is the 110. Now, it is going to drop from there to a 100. See it now. As we drop from a 110 to a 100, we lose a hook. So we've gone from a 3-hook jerkbait to a 2-hook jerkbait. This can be good or bad, depending on what you need to do. We've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
When the fish are kind of half-ass committal, it's nice to have more hooks.
Sure.
Right? They're sucking at it. They're being kind of just wussies about it.
Mm-hmm.
I want more hooks where they just go, that there's one extra hook that maybe can snag them in the face.
Yep.
Right? But when they're just super aggressively attacking, I want fewer hooks because I want a bigger hook to actually penetrate
Yep.
in the mouth so I can land them. Unlike the 110 and the 120 that had the internal weight transfer system, the 100 is a fixed weight system. So it's got some tungsten pieces down here. It has a fixed tungsten ball in the middle. And then the top is divided into different compartments that have single beads, right? So as you hear it move, it's high pitched, but it's subtle,
Yeah.
right? So again, here's the 110. Lot moving on. Here's the 100. Big difference, right? Yeah, conducting.
Yeah.
So, when are you going to use the 100? I would use this in conditions in colder water. So, colder water where the shad, when they're moving, you can kind of hear their backs cracking, right? You can hear the spines. That would be a great time. Shallower water, anytime you're trying to be just slightly more subtle but still give a little bit of volume, that's when the 100 is going to be a really good option for you to go. Now, if you need to be even more subtle, they do make the same bait in a totally silent version as well. So basically all they've done is it's the same bait, they've just taken those beads out of that top chamber and they've just created a full silence. So it's still weighted the same, it's gonna move the same, it just doesn't have that kind of high pitch, those 3 little beads moving around in there. So it gives you some options, right?
Like that.
They also recently came out with this guy, which is the 100DR, just to get confusing, right? Which is the importance of doing a video like this.
Yeah.
This is going back to a weight transfer system. As you shake it, gone are all those high-pitched beads. Now you've just got that kind of single knocking bead in the top head compartment, but you've gone back to a weight transfer system. So now you can throw this thing a gazillion miles, you can crank it down to depth, and then you can fish this thing effectively in that kind of 8 to 12 foot zone, depending on how deep you're trying to get it. It's a great deeper diving bait. It's got just enough sound when it moves. It's relatively subtle, but just a little bit of sound, but good for conquering that deeper depth. So this would be an alternative to, say, something like a Stacy, 110+1, something you're trying to work down there in that true 10-foot zone. This would be a really good option. It does have a little bit wider lip. So for me, it's more of a Stacy type jerkbait. It's more of like a sweep, right? And let it kind of swim and then suspend, swim and suspend. That's really where this bait shines for me. But you can certainly use it as a jerkbait as well in rip bait. It's just going to have a little bit more of a roll because of the wider lip.
Another great option in the deep diving category. I mean, that's hard to find like a really good deep diving jerkbait.
For sure. Yep. So it gives you one more tool.
Another tool.
Right? Yep. Okay. And then it goes down again into the Jerkbait 85. Now this is going to be kind of a true downsizing bait. This is a cool little bait that I really like because it's a true downsize, right? So you've got, we've talked about this all the time between a 110 and 110 Junior. They're very similar.
Very.
Right? This puts you in an 85, and it's a distinctly smaller bait, right? It's a much smaller option than an original 110. Now, you lose the weight transfer system in it, but you have one single kind of bead that has a chance to kind of play all it wants to up here in the head section, and you have one bead back here that gets to play all it wants to in the rear section. Okay, so as it's moving, hold those hooks. It's there, super subtle.
Very, very subtle.
Right, so for downsizing, I like it. It's not too intrusive. They come in a lot of cool colors. I'm showing a handful of them, but there's, anything from bones to perches to clear. So Duo makes some great color tones. But the 85's a really good one. This is going to have more of that side-to-side motion. This would be a great one for trout.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Really good trout bait. But when they get picky, they need something smaller, a little bit more finesse. The 85's a really good option.
Cold weather, super shallow, clear water situations, maybe.
Yep. Even if they get on like little fry and they're a little spooked,
yeah,
that could be a good option.
Yeah.
Now, before we jump over to Rosante, let's go the opposite direction. This is the biggest bait in their line. This is the Jerkbait 130. Okay, so this is for when you just really want to go huge. This can be a good option. Now, most guys that throw the Jerkbait 130 are going to be using it as kind of a hybrid jerkbait, kind of jerkbait crankbait. It has big weight transfer system, so you can throw it a mile, right? It locks into place. You can hear more of that low pitch, like one thump sound, right? So as that bait's moving, it's really kind of distinct and low pitch. It's not high pitch at all, which sometimes can make a really good option for you. If you're hearing a lot of high, all of a sudden you throw something lower, could be a good option. Ton of flash in this thing, okay? And it's a little bit rounder. So really, as you pull this through, it's going to give you this kind of flashing motion. You can also use this on a straight retrieve. A lot of guys will throw the 120 for pike and perch over in Europe. You can use it here for pike and walleye and some of those other species as well. Or you can use it as a bass jerkbait and really just rely on that kind of low pitch, larger profile sound and look to it. Okay, so that's the 130. Now, I want to go back the other direction again, because we started talking about the 85. There's another one to talk about in the line that's called the Rosante. Now, this is kind of a little bit of a sleeper downsize bait. Now, it comes in a 77 and in a 63 size. Okay, so it comes in both sizes there. If I flip it over, you'll get to see kind of the weight transfer system. Now, this is a magnetic weight transfer system. Okay, the other ones are just like your traditional kind of rolling balls that switch to the back and they switch forward and they kind of bounce around in there to create sound. Okay, on these guys, this is not going to create sound. It's going to lock in place and be magnetized. So the only sound is going to come from the hooks and the little glass beads that are inside. Okay, so you can kind of hear it. Super, super quiet.
Almost no sound.
Can you hear it? Yeah. Super, super subtle. Now, when you cast, there it goes, right? And then locks back into place. You hear it?
Yep.
So it's good on the cast. There. Shot forward, locks back into place. So as you're moving, it's so subtle. I don't even know if the camera can pick it up.
I wonder how many people have their phones right next to their ear right now.
What is
like,
it? What is that? This is the point where we just yell like, ah, right? So super subtle. It's an amazing casting bait for its small size. The 77 weighs 8 grams, 8.5 grams. The 63 weighs 5 grams. So you're just over a quarter ounce here. To give you a comparison, there's the X Nanahan. Okay? So almost the same size. All right, so super subtle. This is just going to give you a different roll, where this is going to give you basically the same look as a 110, that same kind of 110 action. This is going to give you a little more flash and just a little bit different action under the water. It's going to move and flash at the same time, so you're going to get a little bit more of a rolling action with this one versus just that tight kind of side to side with the Megabass.
Yeah.
Okay, tons of colors, again, from baby perches to bluegills to shads, right? So from a downsizing standpoint, this can be a really good one that casts really well.
Yeah.
I'd put it right there with the X Nanaham. To me, these are like true downsizing,
Yeah.
right?
for
So when
sure.
you get to something like this, like the Rosante or that Jerkbait 85, this is true downsizing stuff. The difference between like the Jerkbait 85 and the Rosante, you can see that they're different shapes. They're going to have different actions, right? But even though that Rosante is smaller, the Rosante casts easier because of that weight transfer system. So again, give and takes, right? This is going to give you a little bit more higher pitch, you know, more side-to-side walk. This is going to give you almost no sound and more of a rolling type look as it goes under the water. Okay, so some solid options. It's a pretty cool line. What do you think?
I love it. Like Duo makes great baits all around, and in their jerk baits, I mean, offer another really cool tool, and each different size, and their colors are crazy. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
For
They have
sure.
So many different colors.
Yeah, there's a gazillion colors. I think just in the 120 alone, there's like 40 or 50 different colors.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
So I mean, you can really geek out, and they have a lot of just really beautiful, subtle tone, you know, transparent colors as well. Some really bright, crazy, like, you know, matte pinks and, you know, some
Yeah.
nutty things over there too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think the coolest thing is, you know, it's hard when you're making jerk baits in different sizes. I know it seems kind of crazy, like it's 130 or 120 or 110 or 100 and 85. Like there's so many different options, right?
Yep.
But each one's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not just shaving 10 millimeters off, you're actually getting a completely different bait. So a different movement, a different pitch, a different sound, which is cool because it forces us to learn our tools.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So, you know, I think it's a great lineup of baits. I think it's worth a look. I hope you guys do give it a look. If you're looking at a starting point, start here. This is the 120. All right, this is where we started. This is a great one to add to your arsenal to complement that 110. After you get confidence and you start throwing and catch some fish, you're like, shit, that's a pretty good jerk bait, right?
Yep.
And you start playing, then you can start, you know, use this as a reference, start diving down through the lineup. The other thing that's cool about Duo baits, like $14,
Yeah.
$15.
Save a couple dollars. from the
So
110, yeah.
they're pretty inexpensive by JDM bait standards, right?
Mhm.
So you know you can grab a few and not kill yourself. on
Right.
them,
And they're
right?
made super well.
Yes. So hopefully that was useful, guys. If you have questions on any of the baits that we covered, drop it down below. I'd love to answer anything I can. If you guys have any experience with Duo jerk baits yourself, and there's something that you've experienced that we didn't communicate, drop it down below as well, because I want everybody to learn as much as we can about all these products so we all can catch more fish.
Absolutely.
That's the goal, right?
Yep.
Have a good time. So on behalf of myself and CJ and everybody here at the Hookup Tackle, guys, thank you for the time to watch this video. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your business. Enjoy the Duo jerkbait line. I think you guys will catch a lot of fish. Please try them. We will see you again soon. Peace out until next time.
See ya.